Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Jet In Academy Day 2. On Day 1 we covered gate procedures and startups, and from cold and dark right to the end of the pushback. So today we're going from pushback to departure and climb out. Okay, so that's it. Should be a bit shorter than the last one, not quite so much involved. But there is still quite a bit to do. As you can see, we have two good engine starts there. It's where we finished on the last video. So let's just check before we taxi to runway 27. We have our flaps down 5. Just check that. Yep, flaps down 5. Our power brake is still on. RTO for our auto brakes on rejected takeoff. You can see our flaps there. We are down 5. Let's come up here, start with our flow. Up here we have our yaw damper on, coming down, all fuel pumps on, landing lights on, taxi lights on, seat belts and no smoking, it can be on. Power is on. We are running from the engine bus, so we are running on power from the engines. Coming up here we have our window heat on, our heat probes are on. Window de-ice we can put those on. All our generators, our electric hydraulic pumps are all on there. Engines are switched over to continuous. Coming up here we have our packs on auto, isolation valve open, APU bleed off, engine bleeds on. Coming down here, lights as required. We've also received clearance for taxi, departure straight out, so we are all clear to taxi to the runway. We're going to be heading over that direction, just over there. Another thing we're going to do, I think we might have done it on the last video, but let's do it here, is check our control surfaces. So let's have a look here. With this little switch here, we can flick that and we come down here and we go through our control surfaces, move your yoke in all its directions, and also the rudders as well. That is all looking good, so we can come on up here and we can actually turn that off. Now we can give a little bit of throttle, a little bit of juice on the throttle. We will take off the parking brake. There we go. A little bit of juice on the throttle, and we will head over towards our runway for departure. Now our taxi speed can be very slow. You're better to be going too slow than too fast. Around about 10-15 knots is more than enough for your taxi over to the runway. As I said, better to be going too slow than too fast. Damage the gear, damage the nose wheel steering, or blow out one of the tires. So keep it around about 10-15 knots is fine. Try and stay on the yellow line. In this case I have the direction arrows there to lead me to the runway. A little bit of cloud around, but looks like quite a nice day, so we should get some really nice views today as we head over to southwest Florida. Quite a nice morning here in Miami. Now if you missed the first video, day 1 on the 737 Jet In Academy, I suggest you go back and have a look at that one. It's quite a long video, but it takes you through all the cold and dark startup and the sequence in which you do everything when you're starting up the 737, including all the gate procedures and all those kind of things. So very important that you see that video. I know it's quite long, but just watch it once. Take notes if you need to. But it is worth watching if you're just getting started with a study level 737. If you find yourself going a little bit too fast, just dab the brakes a little bit. Just keep yourself going nice and slow and steady. And we're not going to drive right onto the runway. We're going to park at the hold short and contact tower and get clearance for takeoff. Okay, so here we go. We can come up a little bit closer to the line. There we go. So while we're here, we can come in here and we can put on our parking brake just while we do everything and get clearance from the tower. So let's go up here to tower, Miami Tower. Now if you can't see this option, that means you probably didn't get clearance for taxi, okay? So when you're at the gate, you need to get clearance for taxi, depart straight out. Otherwise you will not be able to see this option, contact tower for departure, for takeoff, okay? So remember, you've got to get clearance for taxi first before you see this option. Come up to Miami Tower and request takeoff clearance.
Miami Tower, Jet and Juliet India 1028 at runway 27 ready for departure, straight out departure.
Jet and Juliet India 1028 altimeter 29er.9er 2 wind 277 at 4. Straight out departure approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 27.
Cleared for takeoff runway 27, Jet and Juliet India 1028.
Okay, so there it is. We have clearance for departure. Now you can see on our flight plan down here, you can see we are at the right runway because that's where our flight plan begins. We're taking off here from runway 27. I have this set on, if I had this set on plan, it would look a little bit different. But I've got it set on map, so that when I turn around and take off, this magenta line will stay in front of me and it'll be very easy to follow the magenta line. Just cast my eye over it every once in a while, just to check that I am actually perfectly on my flight plan. So I have it set round to map.
Contact Miami departure on 125.75. Good day.
Now, before we depart, we can go through our check just to be extra cautious. Again, flaps down 3.
125.75 for Spirit Wings Tree 164.
And we're going to come over here and we're going to set our climb out speed at 250 knots. And our speed, our altitude is going to be 10,000 feet initially. We can go ahead and turn on our flight directors. Turn on the left one first because you are the captain in control and you're going to be making all the decisions and hitting all the buttons, so it will follow your the cockpit will follow the left hand instructions as a priority over the right hand control buttons and switches and things like that. Right, so both flight director is on. Now I don't turn the auto throttle on. This is probably not the correct way. You should use toga. Hit the toga button. This is the way I do it. It's simple and easy, and it gives me something to do. I actually have control over the takeoff, which I quite like. It's my style. But as you go, you will find your style, and you enjoy the flight sim the way you enjoy it, basically. Okay, so we are all clear, and we are ready to taxi onto the active runway. Okay, so we're going to do a rolling takeoff today. We are not going to be worrying about replay mode or record mode or anything like that. We're just going to concentrate on getting a nice smooth takeoff and departure. Try and get our front wheel on that white line and try and keep straight as we head down the runway. So I'm going to bring my throttle up. Really, they say bring it up about 40%. 40% is stable, and then you take it up to 70% and leave it there for about 15-20 seconds and then hit toga. That is more like the correct procedure. But I'm taking the throttle up manually now, not to 100% but quite a way up to the top. Keep an eye on my speed, around about 140 knots. I will rotate. There we go, rotate. Keep it straight. Gear up. Just hold it straight at around about 10%, 10 degrees. 10 degrees climb out and keep it steady. Take off my landing gear lever, take it to the middle to turn it off. I'm a little bit above 10%, 10-15 degrees, sorry. Climb out is okay. Our speed is slowly going up and we're heading out towards our first waypoint. So I'm going to come on over here. I'm going to turn on the auto throttle, turn on speed mode, turn on LNAV, turn on altitude hold. Going to give myself some vertical speed. It comes up at 5.4, that's too high. I'm going to take it down to around 1.8 for a nice gentle sort of climb out. Now I'm going to start bringing up my flaps a notch. So we're heading out in a straight line. We're keeping it steady, a nice gentle climb. We're not veering off to the left or the right. We're just gaining speed very, very slowly and gently, and altitude. You can see we're going to be turning around to the right then, so our autopilot will do that. Going to take our climb out vertical speed down a little bit. I didn't hit the autopilot button, so I've hit the autopilot button there. So let's have a look. We are gaining speed very, very slowly. You can see here our vertical speed is at 1,150 up. We're slowly climbing up in our altitude, and we've come to our first waypoint, grit. So the plane is now turning around to the right to connect up with our flight plan. We can take our flaps up a little bit more. Take our flaps right up now. Right, so let's recap. We have both flight directors on, autopilot, auto throttle on, speed mode on, set at 250. We have our LNAV on. Our vertical speed is 850. I'm going to take that up. Take that up a little bit more. Take that up to 1006, and we have our autopilot engaged. Now we're going to stay at 250 knots until we are above 10,000 feet. But we do have a very short hop today, so we may just stay there for the sake of this video. May just stay at 10,000 feet and 250 knots or thereabouts. So our flaps are up and we are following our flight plan here. The magenta line is straight ahead in front of us. We're heading towards Swags, our first waypoint. 32.7 nautical miles, not that far to go at all. But remember, you must have your flight plan in to your FMC, your waypoints. You must have your coordinates put in when you align your IRS. You must have your coordinates put in properly into the FMC so that the plane will turn and follow your flight plan. Okay. Right, so we can come up here. We'll turn off our landing lights. Landing lights can be on under 10,000 feet, but we're at 10,000 feet. We'll turn off our landing lights, turn off our taxi lights, strobe lights, wing lights can go off. And we'll turn our anti-collision lights on, leave our wing lights on. You just set these lights as you require, really, just the way you like them. You set them up. We can go ahead now and turn off the seatbelt lights. People are free to move about and go to the bathroom or do the things they want to do, and the flight crew will happily start their in-flight services. Right, well that's it for our video today, guys. Day 2 of our Jeton 737 Academy. Pretty basic, straightforward stuff today, and I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but this is what I do to get up and flying at a study level 737, and hopefully it encourages you or helps you get up and flying and do a few things and get yourself underway with a study level 737, because it can be confusing. Sometimes the very small, easy little things trip you up, and it is rather frustrating. And I've been through a lot of frustration and times of trying to fix things, trying to get things right. I thought things were broken and there were bugs, but actually there was some little switch that I didn't turn on or have done correctly. So it's a little bit frustrating. I just hope this series of videos makes it just a little bit easier for you. That's all. Any experts out there, real pilots, please feel free to leave comments in the comments below. That'll be helpful to me and also helpful to those watching as well. Okay, so our next video, day 3, we will cover our descent and our ILS approach into KRSW. So that will be a lot more exciting than this video probably. And a lot more fun, a little bit more tension, but it'll be great. So I'll see you on that video. Jeton Academy 737 day 3. But if you missed day 1, go back and have a look. If you just bought a study level 737, just getting started, and just go through the 3 videos when the 3rd one is done, and I think you'll be up and flying and you'll be doing flight plans and trips all around the world. Okay, have a wonderful New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day, guys, and thanks for watching. Look forward to your comments. Stay safe. Cheers.